The physiological consequences of sleep deprivation pertaining to obesity, U30966612. So, do you have trouble getting to sleep? Do you sometimes spend countless hours thinking about aspects of your life that you want to change, when ideally you should be sleeping? Because I can assure you that you're not the only one. I am guilty of this, and I can imagine at least 90% of us are. Sleep is an important aspect or important part of everyday life. It helps human beings function normally. It helps us deal with both our conscious and our unconscious issues present in our life. You may not be aware of it, but your sleep plays an important role in the process of learning and memory. This is quoted by Al-Qidi, Zagar, Al-Haidar, Salim, and Alisa from 2013. Prolonged periods of sleep can be detrimental to the human body. So I want to ask you, do you pull an all-nighter the day before you have an exam? Or do you have trouble falling asleep when you know that tomorrow is an important day for your academic career? I want you to know you're not alone. There are times where we, as human beings, do have trouble falling asleep, or we forbid ourselves of sleeping because of our deadlines, our exams, or our assignments due. So if you prolong your hours of sleep, you could be harming your body. And if this is an ongoing thing, you may be suffering from sleep deprivation. Now, sleep deprivation is detrimental to the human body. I want you to consider the list of consequences that sleep deprivation has. I'm going to read this list for you. However, my presentation is focused on obesity. I'm just going to give a rough background. So, these consequences can include irritability, cognitive impairment, memory loss, impaired moral judgment, severe yawning, hallucinations, aches, and tremors. In addition to these consequences, the human body also is affected by much, much more serious aspects. And these include growth suppression, a decrease in temperature, and the risk of an impaired immune system. On top of that, the two most common consequences are obesity and type 2 diabetes. And this is quoted by Knudsen, Spiegel, Penev, and Korter in 2007. However, I want you to focus more on obesity and the physiological effects that no sleep can have on your body. So if you look at Australian society today, and I'll just point you over here, what percentage of us are obese, do you think? Or at the very least overweight? And a recent study conducted by the Australian Bureau of Statistics suggests that over 63% of Australian residents are overweight or obese. And furthermore, adults aged between 55 and 64 are found to have trouble with their sleeping patterns, which has in turn led to weight gain. And this is quoted by McGee, Caputi, and Iverson from 2010 in their study from the University of Wollongong. So while there are many consequences to sleep deprivation, I want to stress that the most common cause for sleep deprivation has been tied to work instances and lifestyle changes. And these lifestyle changes include increase in social demands. And this is quoted by Ozell, Grigley-Whisker, and in 2010. So in my presentation, I aim to provide an insight on sleep deprivation and how it links to obesity. And to do so, I want you to point to figure 1. So I'm just going to zoom in. So this is a diagram by Patel and Hu from 2008. And I want to show the link of sleep deprivation and obesity. So there are 2 major pathways, and from this it leads to increased caloric intake, and the next one is the reduced energy expenditure. So to begin with, I will focus on increased caloric intake. So for example, if you are awake longer, you therefore have more of an opportunity to eat. So if you get up at 6 a.m. and go to bed at 11, you get more hungry, I'd say, during the day, and you don't just fit in with 3 square meals. You tend to snack. And I believe that this is linked to why children who do watch countless hours of television, because they stay up later, are more likely to weigh heavier than their counterparts of those children who do watch less. Because as you watch a movie, you tend to go up and get a drink, whether it's a soft drink, or you tend to have chips or popcorn, and that's makes you want to eat more. So you can also see in this diagram that sleep deprivation is also linked to increased hunger, and this is caused by the increase in ghrelin, the hormone, and this hormone is associated with the feeling of being hungry, and it's also linked to the decrease in leptin, and that is the hormone that is associated with being full. So this second pathway here is the reduction of energy expenditure. So for example, if you are sleepy, you tend to exercise far less, and you burn fewer calories, because most of the time we just want to relax and go to bed, or just do something like read a book and something quite relaxing. So you can also see in this diagram here that the altered thermoregulation is basically a drop in body temperature. And I'll point you back to the list I had said beforehand, where one of the serious effects was decrease in temperature. So to further give you an idea of the hormone altercation of leptin and ghrelin, I'll turn you to figure 2, which is this is a zoom in of figure 2. So there was a study conducted on more than 1,000 participants, and the researchers, this was intended to find a correlation between their hours of sleep and the amount of hormones with ghrelin and leptin and BMI. So as you can see, that from losing 3 hours of sleep, which is from 8 to 5 hours, that your body mass increase is in 3.6%. And now this is not overnight. This will be over a period of time. And you can see that leptin decreases 15.5% and ghrelin increases 14.9%. So this is just one study. There are many more other ones that can go into more depth about the hormones and the consequences of sleep deprivation, but I'm focusing on obesity and how this can increase your body mass index and your feeling of hunger. So I hope this gives you a brief idea and of how these are linked together and from a physiological perspective. So I want to thank you for listening to this presentation.